What's wrong with Nancy?
Her spell's not working.
What spell?
I don't know. I think she doesn't want to be white trash anymore or something. And I told her, like, you're white, honey. Just deal with it.
Welcome back to Hogwarts School of Bitchcraft and Wiggetry. This is Bitch I Ain't Scared.
I would love to go to that school.
Did I ever show you those videos? Patty LaHalle?
What? No.
I never showed you these.
I love that name already.
Got to Be Real, a diva variety show.
No, I've never heard of this.
I'll show it to you later. But
Okay.
that's where that's from.
Okay.
Hogwarts School of Bitchcraft and Wiggetry. Yeah. So, welcome. It has finally arrived. We're doing witches.
I love that you said finally, because
I mean, so look, I made my little art back in like June.
I remember
We only
you showed
just
me a
started in
preview
May.
of it.
I was like, I have nothing to do. Oh, I know. I'll make something for...
An episode in 2 months later.
And we're not even planning when it's going to happen. Whatever. So yeah, we're doing it. First of all, I would just like to say, completely unrelated, I saw Jesse Williams yesterday. He's beautiful.
I hate you.
Yeah, I know.
Ever so much right now. Wait a minute. What was the capacity? Oh, don't tell me. Which...
I mean, your time will come, Rob. It'll come.
It will not come because...
Yes, it will. I'm just saying.
Who was he with?
I don't know. Not the white woman. I mean, he had his wife, and then I guess he left her for... I don't know who the other woman was.
I don't know either.
I don't know who this woman was. Maybe he went back to his wife. I have no idea. But anyway. It was cool. Quick PSA, we're back into full swing with television, and things are dropping from Netflix and Hulu. People are getting back into binging. I just wanted to say this because it's been on my mind. Be careful. I understand, sometimes you just want to binge. You want to just give your 10-hour day over and just watch a whole season of whatever. And sometimes I feel like FOMO, like fear of missing out.
Okay.
Am I missing out on this show? Oh, the second season's coming out and all my friends keep telling me I need to watch this. Should I really binge this so I can catch up really fast? Or FOMO, should I go outside and breathe clear oxygen and stuff like that?
Here is what I'll say to this. There are some people who, yes, it's free to go outside and walk around. There are some people who stay indoors to stay out of trouble.
Yes.
And also, it depends how much you are invested and intertwined with the pulp culture. If there are certain shows that are not in your radar to be spoiled for you, yes, don't watch it right away. I can understand your excitement. But yes, Nate has a point. There is a life outside of your home. But if there are constant spoilers in your face like every day on a particular show, get that out the way. Just watch it all. If you don't want to be spoiled by it. If you've got friends who cannot stop talking about it, that to me is the point of binging. So I don't have to hear something and take my time. Mm-hmm. But yes, very good PSA. I totally get it. But I know that Netflix for me sometimes when I'm binging is a safe haven, so I don't go out and spend too much money on shit that I don't need or get into trouble depending on where I live.
And speaking of that, when it comes to self-care and just sometimes you don't want to go outside and deal with the world, and there's a lot of things in our face all the time. It's very stressful all the time. I get it. You just kind of want to get into that comfort of just, these are my favorite characters and I love this TV show and I love this story. It's much more pleasant than actually dealing with reality. I get that. I'm not big on escapism because not everyone can escape, so I don't think that that's acceptable. But self-care, I think, is very important, so you should definitely do that. I just think that a balance is important.
2 episodes a day for our dramas. Mm-hmm. Our shows, 2 episodes. That's a full-length movie. Then stop.
Yeah.
That's it. And then do whatever. Just come back to it the next day. A movie a day is fine.
Yeah. Plus, it's like if you go through it too fast, then it's like, Gotta wait a whole year, so anyway, these are just opinions. You're gonna do whatever the fuck you want anyway, but that was all I wanted to say.
Cool.
Also, tonight I thought I was gonna be training all day, so I had no plans of going, but in LA, sorry, but LA people, and it's too late now, like they're gonna start in like an hour, but Alcove in Los Feliz on Hillcrest. It's a really nice restaurant with really good dessert. You should go. They apparently have some sort of screening series, dinner and a movie, starts at 6. So today they're showing The Craft.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yes, but I was like, well, I'm never going to make it. And I wasn't going to make it anyway, so.
They have stuff like that. There's a restaurant in the Highland Mall that sort of, I guess, promotes the idea of go to a movie, come up with your ticket, and then pay like a subdivide of what you would normally pay for dinner.
Oh.
Or they have like, I don't know if it's called like a season pass, but they say like if you buy a month's worth, like there's this price scale where you pay like a monthly thing, and then you can use that to go to dinner and a movie, like a lot. So it's like one of those things like a Disney pass, but it's for date night. Basically, you just pay a month to have date night and do all of this dinner movie combo thing at their specific restaurant. I thought that was a nice idea.
It is nice.
Yeah. Cool. Well, yeah, I'm loving the fact that Craft is still recognized as a movie to be replayed all the time.
Yeah.
So that is awesome.
I've already seen it twice this year, so, it's like, it's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of which, see what I did there?
I got that one.
Yeah.
You wrote that yesterday. Been waiting.
Stop. What's your favorite witch?
Oh.
Or if you give me like top 3, I mean, it's too hard.
Well, honestly, I was really trying to think about this because I knew I would be asked. And, I hate to be kind of cliche about it because it is like one of my favorite movies ever. But, like Winifred's she's the tits. She is like the epitome of a witch. I just, she cares for nothing but her youth. That is what a witch is. They want to stay young. They want to live forever. They want to have power, conquer. I just love her. So yeah, she's one of my favorites.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would be in the majority with you there, probably.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. I'm not sure who my favorite one is. Because I do love Hocus Pocus. I really do. And I love The Craft.
Well, this will be a question for later, but I'll ask you after you make your choice.
Well, I have to think about it for a while. I'll come back to that because there's so many others that I adore as well.
Okay. So what does it take to be like a cool witch to you? Because we both love the genre, we both love that mythology and those characters, but are you more inclined to enjoy bad witches versus good? Do you like them, the young witches? Do you like the old veteran ones? Do you want the stereotype ones who put curses on everybody and so secluded? And what's a good witch?
I like evil witches. I think I like a witch with kind of a sense of humor. It's not to say I won't enjoy a witch who isn't evil, but I don't know. I think I'm drawn. That's part of my dark side. I like evil witches.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, for the most part, that was all that I had growing up. They were all evil. Until, Sabrina the Teenage Witch came along, and I didn't watch that.
I watched a couple of seasons.
I just wasn't into it.
Yeah.
I just saw it, but I wasn't into it. And I watched Charmed, but even then I gave up on it after 3 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, I don't know. I think I like it to be, mean and quick.
Okay.
I like a movie that, or even in Harry Potter, it's a very, very different world, but I like them. I don't, and that's probably the one where I don't favor the Death Eaters or most of the people from House Slytherin, because they're such assholes. It's not that they're evil. They're just assholes. They're so full of themselves, and they just think they're so amazing. It's like, you're really not. So,
honestly, there is a little bit of sort of a default greatness with Gryffindor that they actually have themselves on more of a pedestal than Slytherin, in my opinion.
Well, and that's why Slytherin's so salty, though. Like,
yeah.
I mean, in Gryffindor, they can kind of like get away with murder.
Oh, they can.
Because, Dumbledore just loves them. But still, it's like everyone from Slytherin, they're all like purebloods, and they're just so gross. I like Ravenclaw, personally. That's my house.
I'm a Huffle.
Oh,
yeah. It took me a while to really figure that out too, because I thought I was a Raven for the longest time, and then come to find out, I fit Hufflepuff so perfectly. It's crazy. And my Pattinson was a Huffle, and my Redmayne is a Huffle as well.
Oh, I still haven't seen that one.
Oh, you haven't?
No, I haven't seen it.
I like it. It's all right.
I mean, I'll watch it. Eventually.
So what is it that we like? Why are we so like into this like genre? What is it about witches that are so cool?
I was thinking about this today, and this is something that I've just gathered intel over the years. Whenever I talk to gay men, they love witches.
Yes, I was going to bring that up.
And I think it's just part of it's part of our childhood. I mean, I haven't talked to, so my intel is kind of limited, but I haven't talked to gay men across the age spectrum.
Yeah,
because I don't know a lot of gay men who are older than me. I don't know any kids, but even then, the younger ones are probably going to be influenced by the same thing as me or as you. So when we were kids, that's what we saw. We saw the witches. We saw Hocus Pocus. When we were a little older, it's like, The Craft. And if you go back, it's like the Witches of Eastwick. I remember seeing that when I was really little, but I didn't quite understand it. But I knew they were witches. The Wizard of Oz, Maleficent.
Yeah.
Even like watching Cinderella, I interpreted the evil stepmother as being a witch.
Oh, nice.
You know, just because she was evil and she was being mean to Cinderella. So,
well, I mean, she was way back in the day, and like the Snow Queen, she dealt with magic, even though she wasn't a witch. The Snow Queen, excuse me. The
evil queen.
The evil queen.
Well, she was a witch, though.
Was she a witch?
Basically, yeah.
I thought she just. Well, I mean,
she went down and she like knew how to.
Well,
do
I would think.
stuff.
For some reason, I feel there's a difference with people who dabble in magic than to actually be a witch. I don't know. I see a little bit of difference, but that's just me. Like Ursula's a witch.
Yeah.
The evil queen is not the evil queen witch. She's just a woman who like
still.
Yeah.
She's basically a witch. So I think there's something about being a young gay boy, and this could apply to a lot of people, but seeing these characters who are strong and they don't take shit from anyone and they're powerful and they can do magic. They can create their own reality. So I think that is the appeal. When you're a kid and you're growing up and everything around you kind of sucks because people suck and you don't fit in, and you have all of these characters who can kind of do whatever they want, it's nice to just snuggle into that. So I think that's what it was for me, and I feel like that's what it has been for the majority of my ex-boyfriends. They all loved Charmed. That was something they all had in common. It's like, yeah, like X-Men. It's like all these characters who have powers.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, like, being a witch or just having that magical gift follows under the whole superpower realm, and just having superpowers in general is something like exciting to think about. It's doing the unexpected, it's doing things that are not meant to happen. And like even going back to like Peter Pan with Tinkerbell, like everybody wanted to fly. Yeah. And that is always associated with having magical powers. So, yeah, I think that when I was younger, it was nice to see this sort of like element where you can practically do whatever you want and your imagination is your limit. And who knows if I was this intuitive when I was younger, but it also stems on the fact that witches in particular, in my opinion, are always characters that need to sort of step above the norm. And so when they're given this sort of gift to no longer be the underdog, I think is what I gravitated to when it came to the whole witch game. I don't know if I was that inclined to think about that kind of stuff when I was younger, but as I'm older, I'm noticing there's this sort of common ground with a lot of these characters, because it is about women empowerment for one. And we love women empowerment. It doesn't even have to be witches or magic. It could be any sort of character. We gravitate towards that. You ask any homo, and what is their favorite season? Coven. And they
Hands
just
down.
like the fact that they're catty and they're confident and they're sassy, and it goes with the whole drag queen aspect and all this stuff that makes them very confident.
I didn't see that.
And what I mean is that
I guess yes, all of the costumes and the hair,
and just just the wit and everything, like they just gravitates towards that. So but yeah, it's a huge magic power thing for me. That's where it kind of all started. So yeah, witches have just always been fun to watch.
I would say it probably also stems from just my admiration of women. I don't personally want to be a woman. That's not how I feel. I'm very comfortable in my boring cisgender life. But my role models as a kid were women. I looked up to my mother and my grandmothers and my aunts and my sister, and that's who I was surrounded by all the time. That's where I drew strength from. So I think when I see characters on TV and films, I get excited when I see a group of women who are powerful and can do whatever they want. And I think that's a big part of it for me too. And that's probably also maybe a shared experience for a lot of gay men, because sometimes we're rejected by masculine members of our family or society, and it's the women who come to pick up the pieces and bandage us up.
So I want to read this blurb that I found online. I wish I can remember the date it was published, but it's from this website called Geek's Guide to the Galaxy. And the whole article was about, witch movies, and particularly it talked about The Witch that just came out. Was it earlier this year? It came out.
It came out 2 years ago.
Oh, it did. Okay. Wow, was it that?
It was like 2016.
Okay, that's what I thought. I knew it was like at least last year. But anyways, they were just kind of talking about that movie. Is it considered a horror movie? Yada yada, and we'll get into that. But I copied this paragraph. So it says horror author Grady Hendrix agrees that witch movies tend to explore our feelings about female power. And he's troubled at how often the message seems to be that it's dangerous for women to be too empowered. So here's another thing. This is a quote from him. That's one of those things about those movies, witch movies, that I can't stand. They always turn out to be this cautionary tales about power, this sort of, you've got power and had to go outside society, now look at you, you're killing everyone you love. So he's basically talking in a sense that every time there's a witch movie where they get too empowered and then they use it for evil and they just start killing people and yada yada yada, it's just one of those ways of just showing like women are not supposed to have power because they don't know how to handle it. What is your opinion on that?
That's funny, and I've never received that message.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I mean, half of the witches I've seen are evil, and then half are not. But I've never received that message. It's not how I interpret that. Again,
this article kind of focused on the witch and the fact that, in Salem witch trials and stuff like that, it's like when women start getting ahead of the game in some shape or form, there's got to be a way to bring them down a peg. And all you had to do was point, you're a witch, bam, you're gone.
Did you hear about that?
What?
So I just found out recently that a big part of the Salem witch trials was beer making.
No.
So women used to make beer. They used to be the ones that would run taverns, and they would brew the beer. So it's like that's where it kind of comes from, and they would wear like these hats that look like what we know as witch hats, and men knew that this was a big booming industry, so they wanted to get in on that. So they said that these women were witches, And of course, they were, executed, and the men took over the business. And so that's why now, like, beer brewing is a man's job.
I've never heard this before.
Yeah, I don't have like a reference to give you, but you can look it up. And even like, the whole Salem witch trial, I mean, we know now it had nothing to do with witches. Or did it? I don't know. I wasn't there.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was all about property and people just trying to get their neighbors out of the way so they could buy land. Or if someone was just pissed at someone, or if someone was super petty because someone was running a brothel down the way.
Yeah.
So I think it's interesting that he wrote from that article, and I'm not disagreeing with him, because I think that the people definitely might have what's the word? They might have that justification behind them, like, see, told you so, when they're making a witch movie. But even with The Witch, it wasn't as if she was trying to kill people. She wasn't doing anything. The daughter wasn't doing anything. She was a victim the whole time. It was just at the end she had nothing left, and I think she was broken. She was like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and just go on with you.
Yeah.
It was a creepy movie, but I didn't interpret it that way. And Hocus Pocus, I mean, yeah, they're evil, but they're also kind of campy and comical, and I don't take it too seriously. The Craft, Nancy is mentally unbalanced. I think that,
and that was before The Witch. I mean, before she got powers,
Yeah,
like,
that was before that. Yeah. It was like, obviously, I mean, and that could be anyone's power. She takes it to a dark place. That's just human nature. So it's not, I don't think it's about women, because, Sarah was not like that. She didn't have her power rooted in anger and fear. And the other girls, they were just, I think it's funny thinking about Bonnie and Rochelle. They're the two that are kind of off to the side. And poor Rochelle, her whole thing is like, she's a black girl.
Yeah.
And then Bonnie, I mean, she has the burns. But they probably had it the worst out of all of them.
What do you mean, had it the worst?
Just growing up, being young girls.
Okay, in general, okay.
Sarah, I think she obviously had a lot of issues as well. She's trying to kill herself, but she was a pretty girl. She's fine. She's fine. And then,
we'll just look at her one desire. I mean, she gains powers, and it's about a man. So clearly, she didn't have much going on.
So sad.
As opposed to the grievance of her mother's passing, she really didn't want too much out of life. So
yeah, I think she just wanted like someone to love. Like her dad had found a new wife, so it was like she just wanted someone to call her own, I guess.
Makes sense.
And then Nancy, I mean, sure, she was white trash.
Well, she just wanted her turn.
Yeah.
Like, she was really like, when is it going to happen for me? That's just basically where she was at.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened. They never mentioned her father.
Well, I don't think he was really... They did mention him.
Did they?
Remember?
I don't remember this.
It was a joke.
Oh, okay.
Her dad was paid $50 for the bang in the back seat.
Stop.
So, no, I mean, but see, so those two, it was like, come on. I think that Nancy had a lot of power, and I think she could have done whatever she wanted. If she had like played the game, the high school game, and did whatever. But Bonnie and Rochelle could not hide. They could not hide, no matter what they did. Now, obviously, Bonnie halfway through the movie has a physical transformation, and she's beautiful. But it's like seeing those two, the power dynamics there. It's like, man, they got what they wanted because Sarah helped them. So they were going to go to whoever was the most powerful. But it's a slap in the face that, as soon as Nancy gets a little bit of like mojo going, it's like, well, fuck Sarah. I know you helped me get rid of these scars, but
they were all about Sarah in the beginning too.
They were.
And yeah, it was very easy. And that's the other thing. It's that they didn't want to break the circle. And, Nancy seemed more of the dominant witch, so it was just like, don't fuck with me because we'll just cast you out. And they didn't really care which side they were on as long as they still had the power. They did not want to revert back to what was going on.
Exactly. And I think that is the big message that we're left with them, because we see their reflections in the mirror and it's like they don't want to go back. No matter what. Because they were the ones who were left out. They were always on the outside, no matter what. Visibly, they were different. Yeah. Nancy, she could have and she's real crazy, but she could have blended in if she wanted to.
Do you think that she really cared about her coven? Or was she using them to just gain the power? Because she was all about invoke me. Even during that big spell at the beach, it was invoke me. She didn't say... she even messed up, remember? She was like... Hear me. Hear me, and then us. And then she corrected herself, and it's just like... Did she really enjoy those two? I mean, not to say she hated them, but...
No, I don't think she... I think there was a friendship in the beginning, obviously. They bonded because of being different, being on the outside. But I think once she had her power, it was just more of these are my bitches. And, they're going to hold me down and it's cool. Yeah. But, she was the one with all the power, so she was the one calling the shots. And they knew that too. Because their power... after that, at that point, stemmed from her. Yeah. They didn't have nothing. Without Sarah or without Nancy, they didn't have anything. So, I mean, I could go on and on, but I thought about that today. I was like, they were really the most unfortunate of the circle because they just didn't have anything without those two. If those two hadn't come along and, provided... magic.
And I want to say kudos to director Andrew Fleming. So for him to make a choice to put a predominant storyline for Rochelle to deal with racism. This did not have to be a movie about racism at all, and that actually took a good portion of the movie. Yeah. There was a literal storyline that was revisited throughout the movie.
I mean, they rewrote it for her. Yeah. Because it was just a generic white girl before. Yeah.
And I really like the fact that Andrew and, the writer Peter Ferrati tackled that topic. It was really nice to be able to see that being played out. And for a woman who is on the brink of popularity from playing Marsha Brady and then turns right into this role as this racist woman who blatantly to her face said, I just don't like black people. And wow.
Christine Taylor. She did a good job.
So I got one more question before we move on. Do you think that it was right for her to attack her in that way? Put a spell on Rochelle, to put a spell on homegirl. I forget her name at the moment. Yeah. So you thought it was righteous for that to happen.
She said, "What's going to happen to her if she leaves you alone? Nothing. Nothing could."
Oh yeah, her name.
So was Laura if she had just stopped fucking with her, I mean, I don't feel bad for her. Okay. I don't feel bad for her because there's no, and especially in this day and age, this movie's now 20 years old. It's still the same. There is no reason for you to treat people like that.
Of course.
Whether you're being racist or just a dick. If you're in high school, high school's hard enough. You do not need to be mean to each other. Don't be dicks. It's so stupid. Yeah. But really, don't be racist. I really don't feel sorry for you. Yeah. I don't. You're singling someone out because of the way they look, because they have a different skin color than you, or because their hair is different, or because, I don't know, something is different about them compared to the rest of your classmates. Yeah. I don't feel sorry for her.
Now, obviously, the movie was, a little over 90 minutes long, so they didn't have time to really branch out to these people's lives, but based on the curse that was put on her, for some reason, she felt that it stemmed from her hate for Rochelle. Because for some reason, Laura felt compelled to go up to Rochelle and approach her as a human being. And it's unless she knew that the curse was specifically for that. It's like, why all of a sudden you want to be nice to her?
I don't think she had any inkling that it was a curse, really.
Yeah, but it's just funny how she felt.
I think she
like,
she
just wanted to do it, or was she just nice in all aspects? You know,
I think she just like she kind of realized the error of her ways. Like she's like, man, like I'm different now.
Well, that's the thing, and it would have been cool if we actually saw that she was treated differently because of the fact that her hair was falling out, you know, or maybe she just had an epiphany to know what it's like to be different and not, you know. But it was just funny how she took that as a sign to be nice to her, even though she didn't know 2 and 2 went together.
And it's funny, like. I wonder if there was more to that scene. Obviously, I mean, they're going upstairs with Sarah because she's going to catch them in bed. But I wonder if there's more to it because she's like, hey, how's it going? And then she's like, listen. And it cuts away. So I'm like, I wonder what that conversation was like. I'm sure Rochelle was not having it. It's like, no. At this point, no.
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it anyway.
Yeah.
So really good. Really good. And that's probably the only one who does that. No, I won't say that. And a lot of people have a lot of flack for Coven because it was like the white witches versus the black witches.
Yeah.
Which I do feel funny about it. I wish it could have just been a show about witches. But at the same time, it's like, well, no. They relate it to like Marie Laveau living through the ages. So she's seen what happens. You know, she lived through the 1960s and it's still the same. And then there's even this part where she says, you stole the magic from Tituba. And she's like, and Fiona is like, that slave girl who didn't even know how to use the magic that she had or something like that. Like, so ungrateful. And that's just how it is all the time. So I think that was a good story element to not necessarily pit them against each other, but to just reflect on history.
Well, yeah, I mean, even if you play for the same team respectively, like there's always going to be divides and communities and certain things that separates the two. And yeah, the race thing was very obvious, but those were two types of magics, and it's just like religion. You believe in one or the other, and that's what you practice. And if you didn't believe in that, especially in their world, that's a no-no. So, I mean, yeah, I totally get that. The whole witch hunters thing came in way at the end, and they banded together and decided to try and go after them. I thought that would have been a nice way to just do the season and just have them kind of not use each other's methods, but have them use their own side of magic to try and get these witch hunters down. And then eventually, like, if they really want to defeat them, they have to work together. But this whole back and forth of them being against each other, to me, it got a little old.
Yeah. I think
but it was still kind of fun. It was still fun to watch.
It was fun. I was looking forward to the three of them because that was part of the ad. I remember at the end it was Angela and I can't remember her name right now. Jessica Lange and Kathy. And I was like, oh, this is gonna be amazing. But then it was just this thing where it's like they're trying to kill each other constantly.
Yeah.
So I didn't care for the ending. That Marie Laveau and Fiona. I mean, Fiona, she was so terrible. But I don't know. I think it would have been okay if they had started out like butting heads and fighting and disagreeing, but then it's like, here come the witch hunters, and it's like, all right, now we band together as women and get rid of these men who are trying to wipe us out because they're so threatened by our vaginas.
So Charm did this as well as Coven. Each witch got a specific power, but then also had the ability to cast spells. What do you think about just like witches having only one specific power to themselves versus just being able to do whatever? Like, do you prefer the latter, or do you think it's more realistic or cool to just have them have one power, maybe like connected to their personality or something like that?
Yeah, I think I do like having things connected to their personality. I like any of it. I'm just so open to it. I think it was really unfortunate. The one girl, with her like evil vagina. That's just so unfortunate.
And it had to have been given to the most pure, innocent looking girl ever. And yeah, it's just like a balance of good and evil, I guess.
It's too bad. I think that the story did get wrapped up so much in like, there was this really funny video. It was a compilation of people saying, "She's the Supreme," throughout the entire season, because I didn't even realize how many times they say it. "You're not the Supreme." "Well, you're not the Supreme. I'm the Supreme. She's the Supreme. I think she's the Supreme." And it's just so ridiculous how many times they say that throughout the season. It's like, oh my God. So, it was still good. It's still enjoyable.
Yeah.
And could have been a little different, but it's fine. It's fine.
So what are some of the other like witch movies that you liked growing up?
Witches of Eastwick.
Yes, I like that too.
I like that.
I always thought this was a thing with witches. I don't know if there's enough evidence, but with that and like Hocus Pocus, notice that when there's 3 of them, they always have the different colored hair. It's always red, brunette,
They do.
and blonde. And I always try and watch out for that with every witch movie that I watch, but there's always
They
one of
usually
each.
do. Yeah, because even in Stardust.
Yes, exactly. Stardust did the exact same thing, and and every time I would see that, I'd be like, "There's the Winnie, there's the Sarah," and
I really like it too because they had different, Michelle Pfeiffer's character had green fire, and then her sister, I think, she had red fire. The other one, we didn't see hers.
Thank you for reminding me about Stardust. I totally forgot those witches were good. She was really good as playing a witch again. And that's the other thing, too. I was like, it's time for Cher to do a witch again, because Susan Sarandon also did a witch after Witches of Eastwick. Do you remember?
No.
Enchanted.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
So, it's time for Cher to be a witch one more time. But yeah, the other 2 got to play witches twice. But yeah, Stardust was really good. She was a good witch in that one.
Yes. And a lot of these things are based on books.
Yes.
Stardust, The Witches of Eastwick.
I didn't know that was a book. I just read about that today.
The Witches.
So I want to ask you about Witches of Eastwick. I still don't understand exactly where their power comes from, because they didn't know they had it. They're not related. They didn't practice or give themselves to the devil. Like, you just wonder how that happened, or if it's just the power of sisterhood that just gave them power, because they never explain it, and then for some reason they just accepted it, and it's always been there, and then they just lived with it.
I don't know.
I didn't read the book, so I don't know if they explained it in the book.
Maybe they do.
I'm really curious to know how that all worked out.
And I think that the town, just like the house that he moved into, it was a site of witch burnings. That's where they burned witches. So they were the one woman, Veronica Cartwright, was so hell bent on preserving the historical aspect of the house. She didn't care about those birds.
Yeah.
She was a crazy Christian woman, but I think it was just their bond, their closeness, and he even says, he's like, the woman for me, it's the 3 Ds, like death, desertion, or divorce.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So I think funny. That they were bonded in that way, that their men were gone.
Yeah, and
they were just together. That they were bonded. They were family. So
it really sounded like there was more to the story than or like their world could have been expanded, because he says this line like, "Shit, you're not the only 3 women out in the world." Like clearly there are other groups of women who probably have powers too, and they just haven't figured it out yet. But I as a kid, I just loved it. I just love that movie. I don't know why. And it's mostly just dialogue. Like, you don't really see a lot of practicing magic in it. No special effects. It's just all subliminal, and things just kind of happen here and there. But it was still very mysterious and like intriguing to me to see all that happen.
Yeah, I mean, it's like very simple stuff, but it's just like them summoning him, saying what they want.
Yeah.
And then here he comes, and just I guess the effect that he has over them, and
I will say them when they were like floating was
I love
pretty
that.
cool. And
because
the other
it's from laughing.
Yeah, and it's from laughing, like they're happy. And the other thing is like their power obviously works when they are all thinking about it at the same time. Like they have to all be in cohesion. The Craft did the same thing. And there was one other movie that kind of did the same thing. They just always had to be in unison, and that I think that was a very symbolic way of saying you must work together. You can't just take power and use it for personal gain. You know, you have to have the agreement of your coven, of your sisters, in order for stuff to work. And I thought that was really nice. Touched on friendship and family and unity and all that stuff.
That's really good. Yeah. Charmed. It's the same.
Yeah, Charmed is the same.
So I'm going to ask you a question. What do you think people are more afraid of? Do you think that they are more afraid of a woman or just a person, but a woman in this example having powers to fly and, I don't know, make fire appear, or are they just afraid of a woman, that it's a woman?
So I think it can go different ways. So it depends on which movie you're watching. Usually when you see a witch movie, they live in a world where men don't have those powers. And it seems that being themselves is power enough. And so they always want to concentrate the woman having this upper hand. But there's always this theory about if women, well, I'm sure most women do know better, but if they wanted to, they could take over the world. They mature faster than us. They're, everybody says that they're smarter than us. And just given the right motivation, all of powers, they obviously know what to do with it, and they're already in a position to get revenge or get back at somebody or excel over adversity. So yeah, it kind of goes hand in hand, but it could go down to just them being a woman. It'd be different if there was a movie where men and women had powers, and then you can kind of see exactly where the dynamic falls as to why women shouldn't have it but men should. It was something that I was thinking about today. If I remember correctly, I'm going to have some heavy geeks that might correct me on this, so hopefully I'm wording it right. But from my understanding of the Lord of the Ring franchise, those rings were given out to all different realms.
Yeah.
And the only realm that turned evil into those ghostly night, like, shadowy people were the cisgender men, those knights. Every other realm, elves, dwarves, hobbits, whatever, they can all hold the ring and be okay with it. It was those men who couldn't do it because they were the easiest to corrupt. And that's the thing. It's like powers, when it comes to like magic and superpowers, they will always sort of give this idea that women are mature enough to balance it out and not necessarily always use it for evil. You have genies who are predominantly men. What happens to them? They're trapped in a fucking lamp. They can't get out because if they were free, the world would end. Women, for some reason, have this sort of balance to hold themselves back and not necessarily always use it for good, but they know when to step back and not let it corrupt them. Charm had that same theory. Men are not meant to have these powers. It was always given to women. And that's why they always had women in their lineage and yada, yada, yada. So, I mean, hopefully that answered your question. I know I was kind of rambling a little bit. But
I think, because just thinking about fear, because people do fear women in power.
Yes.
People just can't stand it. And when you add a witch to the mix, someone who is all powerful and can see the future and can read your mind, I don't know. Do people fear men the same way as they do women?
It's funny, usually when you see men with kind of magical powers, they take it all the way to the top. They're the fucking devil or God. That's it. They never give them this medium unless, it's a comic book superhero movie. But that's it. It's always to the higher top. They are top dog. That's it. It's never just somebody who has powers. Now, I could have done a little bit more research. I'm sure there are movies out there where, Harry Potter, obviously, he was a young wizard. He was, kept down, throughout the years and locked in a closet and yada yada. So he had some stepping stones to climb up, to feel equal, I guess, and magic was a good way to do that. But I'm sure there are a lot of other movies out there where guys had powers. Were there many? I don't know.
I mean, sure, there's movies where there are men and women that are witches.
Yeah.
There are, on the TV shows, Charmed did have some male witches that weren't evil.
Yeah.
I remember one of the episodes where the little boy was a witch.
Yeah.
I don't remember what his power was.
Well, he was telekinetic, but it was more on a electronic spectrum. And he could talk to machines in a way.
Wasn't it? It was like also he was on the autism spectrum.
No. I think that's how he harnessed it. It looked like he was autism. Okay. I don't know if they really mentioned. I thought it was just like very like low on the spectrum. Yeah.
And he just But yeah, so it's like most of the time you don't see that. Just like the Covenant is the one big example, and that was just garbage.
Yeah. Some people. Then there's also like the seventh son of the seventh son. Like they're always destined to carry some kind of like destiny, but they didn't have like powers. They were just meant to be something great. King Arthur, all that stuff. Did you ever fear witches though when you were younger? Like did they ever scare you, or did you have like this inkling that they were meant to be evil, given that it was against God and all that stuff? Or
I wasn't religious, so I didn't care about that.
Yeah.
The Wicked Witch of the West scared me.
Okay. Maleficent
scared me.
Okay.
But that was it.
Yeah. But we've seen witches in horror movies, like we just mentioned a couple weeks ago, Haggis and Pumpkinhead.
And I just it's like I don't remember her when I was little. I remembered Pumpkinhead being scary.
Yeah.
And now I see her and I'm like, yeah, she's creepy. And the thought of someone being able to fly in my window, or know what I'm thinking, or to just like make me spontaneously combust.
Well, yeah, just have control over
scary.
You and everything. Yeah,
it's very scary. Yeah, make me jump off a building. I don't know, turn me into a frog.
Yeah,
that's very scary.
Yeah,
if someone could actually do that. So no, I wouldn't want to piss off someone who could do these things. He'd be my best friend. But I don't fear any that I've like seen in movies or TV, any that I've read about in books. I just am intrigued by them, I guess, and it's probably that aspect of power that they harness, that they're able to tap into, and that's probably what I relate most superheroes to. If they have some sort of ability, not Batman, but like anyone, like Superman, he can fly, and the Flash can move really fast. The X-Men, they're all kind of like witches to me. Avatar, The Last Airbender, they're witches. Yeah. To me, sort of. It's like if you can do these cool things, that's what I...
So I want to bring up a couple of like evil witches. So you remember, what was her name? Lady Van Tassel from Sleepy Hollow?
Oh yeah, I just watched that.
Yeah. I like her.
Watch your head.
She was just the whole mystery aspect from the get-go. You just kind of wonder exactly how did he rise to begin with, and the fact that it can be controlled by this woman who is a practicing witch and stuff like that. But I thought she was pretty badass. I think there was a scene where she like licked blood off of like some knife or something. I can't remember, but it got to when she had to really lay it down and was like, I'm gonna win this. And I think she like stabbed somebody and like.
No, she stabbed her hand. She was having sex with the Reverend, and
that's
he
what it was.
Blood off her hand.
Oh, okay, that's what it was.
Nasty.
Okay. And then you've got Mrs. Ganesh from Drag Me to Hell.
Oh, I didn't remember her name. I thought about that movie today because I was at the train.
Ganesh, I think her name was. Yeah.
Whatever.
She was so good, and
gross.
Yeah.
It's gross. I can't watch that movie.
But the whole stereotype of gypsies in general, like I think they get the baddest rep when it comes to women with powers, like
and curses
and stuff. Like they, obviously they're nothing but evil, but I think her incarnation in Drag Me to Hell, being that it was a horror comedy, was super creepy. I was legitimately scared in her scenes. Like that scene where she gets in her car.
She's in the backseat.
And she's in the back seat and she's so quiet. But she slowly comes out of the darkness of the back seat and those eyes, like, that was such a good shot. I love that scene.
Soon it will be you who comes begging to me. Yes, gypsies are not evil. And actually, that's really insensitive. We need to stop saying gypsies.
Yeah.
But I'm just not smart enough to know what the actual proper term is. I mean, they're descended from Romania.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Then there's, aside from, witches, there's wizards. The male version of a witch is a warlock. Do you remember Tazu Lemke? So he was the man from Thinner, the Stephen King movie, who gave the curse of...
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not scary to me. I thought
he wasn't scary, but, I mean...
Again,
he was bent on sort of
stereotype.
justice. Well, he was based on justice and I guess revenge, but his curses were pretty like...
Yeah, it was gross.
Gross, yeah. I mean, what a bad way to go.
I didn't like him. I thought you were going to say Julian Sands.
Oh, no. Well, yeah, Julian Sands is one of them. Did you watch those? Mm-hmm. I don't remember them too well. Really?
It's pretty... Yeah, he's bad.
I, for some reason, always saw them as one of those, like, Skinamax movies where it's just a reason for all of them to get naked and have sex all the time. So I never really got into him. But, yeah, I heard he did some pretty, like, badass stuff.
Yeah, like, when you think about... It's funny. I guess this is comparing men to women. Because when you see women who are witches, they are violent and they kill people, but it's not usually very gruesome. Mm-hmm. Like, The Craft... is probably as violent as it gets. I think that's about it. Yeah, guy gets his head ran over. It's enough. But yeah, Warlock, he's gross. He's like he is ripping people's scalps off. With one swoop. The way he comes, like he's born in the second one or something, it's just gross.
I would actually watch those again. I do remember him from that. And if it's not that, it's Arachnophobia. But yeah, Julian Sands, yeah, that's where I remember from. Yeah. Warlock. So you said you didn't watch too much Sabrina. Did you watch the movie Teen Witch?
Oh, from the 80s?
Yes.
I watched it once a long time ago. I don't really remember. I just remember the little rap scene.
Oh my god. I actually classify that as a musical. I'm sorry, so hands down. Silly. Like when they're at the prom, like everybody's doing the exact same dance formation. Like to me, this was a musical. I'm sorry.
I think it probably was kind of a musical.
They don't classify it as one, but yeah, Miss Robin Lively. I used to watch this movie all the time. It was probably the easiest movie for me to watch to get my little magic fix if it wasn't an animated cartoon. Like this was where I went to see some magic being done. Yeah. And she was a teen, it was high school, and it was just fun to just watch her do her thing and be popular and stuff. But little fun fact, do you remember the little weirdo brother of hers that was like unisexed? Like he could go on both scales. I mean, you could honestly, when I was younger, I could not tell if he was a guy or a girl. Couldn't tell at all. He was so weird, but he was just this gross little human who like bugged his sister all the time. Just his voice and his mannerisms, and he was just like. So the actor. Let me look. Okay, so it was Joshua John Miller. Nope. Yeah. I don't really know of him, but as a child actor, he was actually in a couple of stuff. He had a really big role in Near Dark with Bill Paxton. I have not seen that movie yet, but I need to. He played
some vampire movie.
Yeah, he played some kid named Homer. So he was in that a lot, but he grew up to be a successful writer. Oh. He created Queen of the South, that's on USA right now, and he also wrote Final Girls.
Well, did he create Queen of the South? Because it's based on a book, and also it was a telenovela.
Well, creator of the show, I guess. He was like a big writer on that. But he also wrote Final Girls.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just thought that was a nice little tidbit. But yeah, that kid used to weird me out when I was younger. Like every time I saw him.
Real quick, because we're approaching the hour. So, shall we name a Dreamcast for this Hocus Pocus reboot?
Oh yes, Disney decided to do a reboot instead of a sequel. So I say suck my balls, and I am not given a Dreamcast because you know what? The movie should not be made, and I will not feed into this frenzy that this is a good idea. When I found out about that reboot, I just couldn't believe it. And here's the thing. For the past 3 years, around this time, there was somebody out there rumoring that a sequel is finally being made. There was that rumor that Tina Fey was writing a witch movie and she was going to base it on the Sanderson Sisters, and everybody went fucking crazy because she made Mean Girls, and it was like, why not give her this role? And then she went on air and was like, I am not doing this movie. I'm writing a witch movie, but it has nothing to do with Hocus Pocus. And I was like, God damn it. And then they talked about it again the year after, and the big reveal that Bette Midler really, really wanted to do one, and if they asked her, she would do it, along with the rest of the sisters. And then it was like, Ask Disney. And I don't know how many times there's been petitions out there, but I thought all we needed to do was just protest and we would get one, and we never got one. And then they finally said, we're not doing it, yada, yada, yada. And then this year, the rumors came back, and I was like, until I hear Disney say something, I'm not believing shit. And then, bam, a reboot.
I never wanted a sequel.
Really?
No. I don't need any more. It's fine as a standalone movie. I don't need a remake. There's nobody I'm interested in seeing take over the roles. We were being smart asses before, if you didn't notice. But yeah, I have no interest in this whatsoever. And it's going to be a little TV movie.
Well, that's the other thing, too. So, like, I like all different aspects of TV.
I don't like Disney's new TV stuff. It's so, like, childish.
Well, it's definitely childish, and you have to have a taste value for that kind of stuff. But there is a significant difference in taste from these movies than what they put on screen for Hocus Pocus. I mean, and back then, they released a lot of live-action Disney films, original films, and they are different than what you see on TV. You got movies like these Descendant movies and Halloween Town. Halloween Town could never succeed on screen. I'm sorry if you are a big fan.
But they know that.
Yeah, but this is not a dig. It's not. No. It's just that script is not made. It's made for TV,
and that's medium.
That's fine.
But this is not a story that needs to be retold, and especially not on TV.
I don't trust Disney to make a Hocus Pocus reboot that keeps it out of that TV movie spectrum. I think it's going to be watered down to that likeness, and that's not what these witches are. If you think about it, this movie got seriously edited for Disney Channel. You couldn't see the word damn. Even the cackling got edited when they were being hanged. Like, they were cackling when they were making fun of, Thackeray Binks, and then, like, they cut that out and put more lightning into it. I don't know why, but I want to say that it was either more of a sinister, evil thing that they didn't want Disney to have. But there were other things that were edited. They talked about sex a lot.
And they did. They talked about a virgin.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a very different movie. It was a departure for Disney.
It was.
And that's why I didn't make money. It also came out in the summer. It's so weird that they put it out. They probably should have waited until October. But it's neither here nor there. It's a classic now. We love it. So anyway, you should probably just not do it. Don't do it. So anyway, fun fact. I think when I was in the 5th grade, I did a presentation on the Salem witch trials.
Oh, nice.
It was the most serious presentation that a 5th grader has ever given.
I bet.
I don't know why I was so into it. But anyway.
Just honorable mentions. Some TV witches. Willow Rosenberg. Buffy.
Yeah.
And Miss Bonnie Bennett. Vampire Diaries. Love you both. Love you both.
Good deal. So, Rob, you got a bitch really for us?
I do.
Let's hear it.
All right, so this bitch really actually comes from Drag Me to Hell. And this is the end of the movie where she finds out how to get rid of the curse. Basically, you take an item of the person who cursed you, or no, actually it was just a personal item, I guess, something of object that I can't remember the two specifics, but
it was her item.
I think it was hers. Yeah, she took a button that she owned and decided to, I guess, bless it to harness this curse that was upon her. And she needed to get rid of it in time constraints. Like, she had not that much time left. And she would have to curse the button and then give it to somebody as a gift. And that would pass the curse to somebody. And the movie had reached its breaking point. The woman had gone through everything that you can think of without physically human sacrificing somebody. She already took out a cat. And that's basically any human can do without seriously thinking about themselves. But it comes to survival. It's either you or them, right? She took the button, she put it in an envelope that had no writing on it, and apparently she had another envelope in her possession that had a coin that her boyfriend was collecting. She decides that she's gonna give it back to the person who gave it to her, even though she was dead, so she had to dig up the body and then give it to her, just like she shoved it in her mouth. She goes through all of this drama. She's got less than like 24 hours to live. You would think, check everything, triple check, double check, make sure that you've got everything right. Before she shoved this thing down this woman's throat, she just had the envelope and just put it in there. And it turns out she put her boyfriend's coin in her mouth and she had possession of the button the whole time. She never gave it to anybody and she went to hell. I think this fits as a bitch really is because you are smart enough to be attention detailed, especially when it comes to your life. There is no excuse that she fucked this up the way she did. And a lot of people actually think she had this coming. She was kind of a horrible person. Even though she was doing her job, a lot of people didn't really agree that she, survived or lived through this ordeal. But at the same time, I just thought it was really, really lazy. Not lazy, but just very irresponsible of her to not double check that she was given the right thing.
I don't think she was a horrible person. I think that lady didn't pay her fucking mortgage like 3 times. I mean, figure something out. You gotta figure it out. They giving you extensions, figure it out. And you're gonna curse somebody because you weren't paying your bills? Fuck you. But I mean, she should have checked the envelope. Yes. Yeah, that was a mistake.
It's not the most horrible move, but at the same time,
she was frantic. She had like 2 hours to get this shit.
She just kind of rushed through this thing. I was just like, what a kick in the face.
But I don't think she deserved to go to hell. No, not because somebody else doesn't know how to pay their bills.
Yeah,
I didn't pay my gas bill, and I want somebody to go to hell. Whatever. So anyway, this won't be the last one. We're going to bring you more witches.
Exactly. We definitely are going to revisit this because I love talking about witches. So just hold on to that.
This is just a little taste
test. Just a little tit, but we would love to hear from you, of course. Any movies that you think we should be watching that involves witches or some of your favorites. Comment on the platforms that you're listening on. We appreciate you listening to the Bewitching Hour.
We'll catch you next time with some more scary shit on Bitch I Ain't Scared.
Girls, watch out for those weirdos.
We are the weirdos, mister.